The country music sensation Blake Shelton, who is famous for his tunes that top the charts and his magnetic appearance on The Voice, has a profession that appears to be a direct path to glory. But the narrative of his early tribulations is hidden behind the cowboy hat and easy smile. These early struggles include a series of beauty pageants that he participated in as a child, which left him feeling so humiliated that he almost gave up singing completely. Shelton reveals in an open and honest view how these formative experiences molded his resiliency and ambition to achieve in the music industry. He also discusses how he was able to overcome the challenges he faced. After spending his childhood in Ada, Oklahoma, Shelton was a youngster from a little town who had huge goals. He was influenced by the country music that played in his house and the honky-tonks in the neighborhood, which caused him to develop a passion for music at a young age. Although he was only 8 years old at the time, he was already playing the guitar and singing at community gatherings. But Dorothy, his mother, found an unexpected way to get her son known in a place where there were few chances for young performers. She decided to enter her son in beauty pageants. With a chuckle, Shelton recalls that his mother believed that it was a method for him to demonstrate his singing abilities. She had no idea that it would turn out to be the most embarrassing experience I'd ever had to go through. When Blake was younger, he had a desire of performing, but the pageants were not precisely what he envisions himself doing. Participants were obliged to compete in categories such as talent, formal wear, and interview skills at these events, which were typically focused at encouraging female participation. The event was shocking for a young man who was more at ease wearing jeans and boots than a tuxedo that he had reserved for himself. I was this scrawny kid with a mullet, standing next to girls dressing in glittery dresses, trying to figure out why I was there, he adds. I was trying to figure out why I was there. She entered him in local and regional pageants, including the Little Mr. and Miss competitions that were prominent in Oklahoma during the 1980s. His mother was keen to cultivate his potential, and she entered him in these pageants. Shelton was given the opportunity to shine during the talent section of the competition. He would perform country classics such as Rhinestone Cowboy or Old Time Rock and Roll with a voice that was much larger than his diminutive size implied. However, the other parts of the podcast told a different narrative. They would force me to wear these stiff suits with a clip-on tie, and I would have to walk across a stage as if I were some kind of model, he recalls. The audience could tell that I was swimming in water that I was not used to, I said. I would hear snickers, and all I wanted to do was make myself disappear. During a pageant, he experienced a particularly embarrassing incident when his large suit jacket fell off his shoulder while he was walking. This caused the audience to laugh out loud. When he was 10 years old, he believed that his life had come to an end. On the pageant circuit, odd costumes were not the only thing that mattered. The bashful rural child faced still another challenge when it came to the interview stage. What is your greatest dream, and how would you change the world? Are examples of the kinds of questions that the organizers might pose. Shelton, who was more accustomed to talking about fishing or his dog, struggled to locate the appropriate responses. When I would mumble something about wanting to be a singer or maybe help animals, I could see the judge's eyes glaze over, he admits. I would mumble something about helping animals. The flawless comments from other candidates, many of whom had been prepared by pageant coaches, made him feel as though he did not belong in the competition itself. I was not suited for that kind of environment. I didn't want to compete in any kind of game to see who could smile the most. I just wanted to sing. The lowest point occurred when Shelton was 11 years old and competing in a regional pageant in Oklahoma City. His rendition of He Stopped Loving Her Today by George Jones, a song to which he felt a strong connection, had been the subject of his preparation for several weeks. On the other hand, the microphone suddenly stopped working in the middle of the performance, leaving him stuck on stage in complete silence. When he thinks back on it, he says, I continued singing, thinking maybe no one would notice, but the entire room was staring. Just as I was leaving, I heard someone in the back laughing and saying, "Nice try, kid." I cried my eyes out and went to the bathroom as soon as I could. During that evening, he informed his mother that he had decided to give up singing. On the other hand, Dorothy was not prepared to allow her son to just give up. He was unable to see the spark that she saw in him, but she did. She singled him out and gave him a motivational speech that stayed with him for a long time. You don't give up because things get difficult. This is why you sing. It's a part of who you are. Shelton reluctantly agreed to continue, but he made it clear that he would not participate in any pageants. I warned her, there will be no more clip-on ties or sparkly stages to wear. Just give me permission to play music, he replies with a chuckle. Shelton's mother agreed, and she shifted the focus to local talent showcases and open mic evenings, where Shelton could perform without the constraints of pageantry. Despite the fact that they were unpleasant, those early humiliations taught Shelton principles that would ultimately define his career. I learned how to keep going even when you feel like a fool, he says. I learned how to keep going. It was the times when I was made fun of or messed up that helped me become more resilient. This tenacity brought him to Nashville when he was only 17 years old, where he encountered several rounds of rejection before finally obtaining a record deal. During his time on the pageant, he also developed a sense of humor about himself, which is a quality that has won him the affection of his followers and made him a natural on television. He laughs, "If I could make it through walking down a runway, wearing a suit that was 3 sizes too big, I would be able to handle just about anything." Shelton describes those embarrassing events as a peculiar type of gift when he thinks about them in retrospect. According to him, they caused me to discover who I was as a performer, and he says this: "It was never my intention to be a well-groomed pageant contestant. I was going to be myself, rough around the edges, singing about a life that's actually happening." This authenticity became his signature, and it was evident in his singles such as Austin, as well as his unfiltered and sincere performances on The Voice. He attributes his achievement to his mother's unwavering faith in him, which enabled him to overcome the embarrassment. According to him, she knew I had something, even when I didn't have it. Shelton is able to chuckle about his time spent competing in pageants, but he is quick to admit the impact those days had on him. He says, "I wouldn't wish that kind of awkwardness on anyone," but he also points out that it helped shape who he is today. In fact, he has even entertained the notion of distributing old pageant photographs to his followers, despite the fact